Let me just start the presentation mode. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Gad. I'm the host of this session, and I am joined today by Gautam Rao and Anna Leganel, and we will be talking about the Competence Hub permanently open call for partners. Let's just go over the agenda real quick. So for the first 30 minutes, we'll have the general information about the call, including the scope, the goal, and the requirements, the general requirements that we have. And this will be presented by Gautam Rao, the head of the Competence Hub Academy area. And then Anna Leganel, our colleague from PMO and the program officer for PMO, will be presenting the general procedures. This includes the call calendar, the evaluation and selection criteria, and the proposal submission process. And then we will have a session, 30 minutes to answer your questions. Just a few housekeeping rules. The call document is available on the EIT Urban Mobility website under the calls page. The meeting is being recorded and will be shared on that page. Please mute your microphones if they're not muted. And lastly, please share your questions in the Q&A section, and we will answer them then. So yeah, without further ado, I'll just give the floor to Gautam now. Gautam, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gad, and hello, everyone. So as Gad introduced, I will just present the more content-related part of the call, and then Anna will come over the process part in further detail. So maybe, yeah, next slide, Gad. Thank you. So just a few words about the call itself. As you know, within EIT Urban Mobility, we have different areas of activity. The education part, or the knowledge to market, as we call it today, department really works on all education-related issues and topics. And the Competence Hub would be the equivalent of our professional learning department. So really, we focus within the Competence Hub in all the trainings that relate to current or future mobility professionals that have graduated from their studies and that are working in the urban mobility area. So this call is basically targeting really, as a result, professional courses or courses for professionals in different formats. And these are related to the different formats that we've been developing in the Competence Hub as part of our internal CAVA over the last 3 years. And this follows, for some of you who've already been through this process, the expression of interest process that we used over the last 3 years. Now, within the new Horizon Europe rules, this is changed, and Anna will give you more information on this. But this is basically the call that follows the expression of interest process that we had over the past years, and the newer version of this is this partner call, which we will use for the foreseeable future, at least for the next 3 years. So maybe next slide, please, Gad. So when it comes to the main features of the call, which was opened on the 28th of June and will be closed 1 month later on the 28th of July, is that basically you have a first cutoff date or a first deadline, which will be on the 28th of July. You will then have other cutoff dates in September, October, and then next year, so that really the call is open. It's a permanent call, open till end 2025. So in that case, this call will allow all of you to present projects even beyond the deadline of the first cutoff date. In terms of project duration, I would say there's the sort of up to 9 months standard period that we used in previous years for the expression of interest. But one of the advantages of this new process is that you can actually present longer projects, multi-year projects that would last till December 2025. So in this case, if you have a proposal on a project that is really for this year and the beginning of next year, this is fine. But you also have the opportunity, if you repeat a course over many years, to actually present this into a multi-year proposal, which is something that wasn't really available before. In terms of budget, the accumulated budget of all the different activities and proposals will be just over 1.3 million euros. But it is important to note that this is budget allocated from the business plan 2023, as the call will be, it's a permanent call with new cutoff dates to be defined in 24 and 25. Additional budget will be available in 24 and 25 for new projects and proposals. Okay. In terms of proposal selection, we're thinking about over 25, maybe between 20 and 40 proposals is the sort of proposals, the number of proposals we're anticipating, to give you a sense of the volume we're looking at. And in terms of co-funding, as you know, this is an important part of any call for proposals that we do. It's important that any proposal, the partners involved cover a part of the cost, either through direct contribution, financial contribution, or, as it is most often the case, through the hours and through covering the cost of elaborating the proposal. So this co-funding will increase over time. So we are requesting a minimum of 15% co-funding in 23. This is moved to 20% in 24 and 25% in 25. And that's actually an eligibility criteria. So if you don't follow these criteria and you don't have a proposal with a budget in which the consortium outside EIT Urban Mobility is co-funding 15, then 20, then 25%, then the proposal will not be eligible. So, of course, if you have any questions regarding this, we can take them later. We will also talk a bit later of financial sustainability. As you will see in the call, it is required for some activities, but for others, it's not. So for the first two activities, it's not required, or required at a very small extent. And then for CHA3 and CHA4, it's a more strong requirement. And also the last but not least, in this particular partner call, you can actually apply as one partner. You do not need to apply as a consortium, as this is a requirement for the more standard academy calls. But in this case, a one partner proposal is enough. So moving forward, I just wanted to review with you the 4 types of activities that we want to encourage and fund as part of this call. For those of you who know us, which I would say is most of the people attending this webinar, this is very closely related to the activities that we've been developing over the last 3 years within the Competence Hub. So the first activity would be really related to the production and delivery of our UMX videos. As you may know, we produce something like 50 to 60 videos per year. Some of them we do ourselves, but in many cases, we're actually very happy to have good proposals of videos from our partners. So this is where you could present this. It's further detailed in the call, but these are videos that need to follow certain requirements, which at the end result in the videos that you can currently find on our YouTube UMX channel. The key for these videos is to be between, let's say, 1 and 10 minutes long, but to be very engaging. So one of the goals will be to, for each video, to reach about at least 1,000 views. But as you'll see, normally, except maybe a few exceptions, we now have something like almost 50 videos on UMX, and most of them, over 90% of them, have more than 1,000 views. So it should be really reachable, but it's important that you keep this in mind, that the videos we want you to deliver are, let's say, compatible and in line with the other videos that are already there, but also cover maybe ideally other areas, other cities, other countries and regions within Europe, but also other angles of urban mobility. So have a look at the YouTube channel. And again, happy to take more questions. It's important that in some cases, partners can request full management of the video production process, but this call also covers for partial management if, for example, you just do the project management or the technical part, but then we can also look by case. But I would say in most cases, we would be looking at the full management of the video production process. Maybe we can move to the next slide, Gad. I hope this is being clear enough. The second activity would be focused on our e-course platform, or at least on the development of e-courses within our e-course portfolio that we have developed over the last 3 years. So to enrich this portfolio, our focus here would be to continue developing our urban mobility courses platform. You have the link on the previous slide. This is the online course platform that we're developing more and more courses on. And we develop these courses according to 2 formats. These are, let's say, courses that are self-directed courses. So we're talking about courses similar to the ones that you can find on Coursera, FutureLearn, edX, or LinkedIn Learning. And the idea is to have proposals on the development of new courses. We prefer, if possible, to have these courses hosted on our online course platform called Urban Mobility Courses. But in some cases, we're also open to have e-courses developed on other platforms, such as maybe FutureLearn, or other platforms such as university-based platforms. So by default, we would prefer to host these courses on our platform. But if there's a strong justification and, let's say, a specific reason for these courses to be held in another platform, and this is made clear during the proposal, well, this is really something that we would also be willing to consider. Okay, so when it comes to requirements, it's a bit of the same as for the UMX video. We are looking for, let's say, the full management of the delivery of these e-courses, from course design to scripting to instructional design and delivery. But in specific cases, we could also be looking at partial management. As some of you know, we do work with a variety of e-learning agencies. So we are also interested in getting proposals from content providers. So if you see that you're interested in developing such courses in line with the courses that we have on our UMC platform, but you would just provide the content side of things, this is something that you could do here. And in terms of KPIs for this particular activity, we're targeting at least 50 people completing a course by 1 year after the course has been produced. So this is what we're looking into to make sure that our impact KPIs can be properly delivered. So this would be a minimum KPI that you would need to include within your proposal. Of course, you can go higher, but this is the minimum level that you should feel confident that your course would be able to achieve once it's published in 1 year. Okay, moving forward, then we have the third activity, which is what we call the applied courses, or sometimes also referred to as face-to-face synchronous courses. So as I tried to explain, the 2 previous activities are more about asynchronous learning. So the idea of developing some learning content and putting it online. In this case, we're looking at maybe the more traditional courses that happen in a synchronous way. So having the different cohorts learn from each other, but also sharing learning moments with the content providers and the subject matter experts. So in this sense, these courses can be delivered on site, which is the traditional way of doing things. But as we all know, there's a big movement towards online synchronous learning as well, via webinars and other formats. So in this sense, we're very much looking to explore all the different types of learning modalities. Each one has benefits and drawbacks, but in general, having blended courses with a part of online synchronous, a part of online a face-to-face on-site synchronous, and also in some cases, maybe a little part of asynchronous learning. All of this is possible. It's really about targeted applied learning courses that can also be done in local language, which is important because we really want these courses to be impact-oriented and to allow for deeper levels of learning than maybe the other two levels that I talked about. What's important here is that these courses should have the potential to run beyond the funding period. So what we're looking for here is for courses that have a strong enough business model that even though they're not maybe profitable the first year, they become profitable in a way that they, after a few years of being supported by EIT, will not need EIT funding to be profitable and to be sustainable. This is a very important component that we're looking for. And behind this, of course, is the issue of financial sustainability. So in this particular activity, on top of the quality of the course design, its delivery, its learning impact and outcomes, we will also be looking at the business model to make sure that this is something with a high replicability potential. So these courses can be run and rerun and become increasingly viable and profitable, but also that the courses also include a sound commercialization strategy and a strong business model with, as I said, a diverse revenue source where the revenue cannot just be from the funding you receive as a consequence of this proposal by EIT Urban Mobility, but also looking at other sources that will build up through time so that eventually the course can run without any funding from EIT Urban Mobility. So in terms of KPIs, the minimums have been set low because we know that when you launch a new course, it's not always easy to attract a lot of people, but we are looking for these courses that have the potential to build over time. And of course, in a few years, really get more people in, more revenue, and scale up the impact, not only in terms of the learning, but also geographically to reach new markets. So this is why the minimum KPI is set relatively low. The difference between both KPIs is that the first one really looks at people completing the entirety of the course, and we would need at least 8 people per year. And let's say you do various cohorts of the same course, it would still be 8 people. So it's a very low minimum that we encourage you to build upon as long as it's a realistic and conservative figure. And then the KONHE02 KPI relates to people either registering to the course but not completing it, which we all know it sometimes happens, or people taking part of the course but not actually doing the learning assessment for the entirety of the course. Well, these wouldn't maybe qualify for the EIT KPI, but they would still qualify for the internal KPI that we have at EIT Urban Mobility. So this would be 8 and 12. And finally, we have the fourth activity, Gab, if you can move forward. Yes, which is basically more of a transversal type of activity and which looks at really the scaling up and the replication of the courses. So this would be mainly sort of the online ones and the face-to-face applied courses. So CHA 2 and 3. And the idea is how can we upscale this to maximize impact? So in that sense, this could be different types of proposal. One proposal could be if we're already running a course, but it's still an applied course in CHA 3 type. But we need to do new additions because it's still not reached financial viability. This could be a proposal, but we're building on the existing courses, so that connection should be made if it's part of this activity. But we could also have scaling up activities where we take a course that works in a country and we scale it up to another country, or maybe we remodel it so that a face-to-face course now has an online component, which could then allow for further scalability in the future. Or even, let's say you have a portfolio of courses but you find another partner that you want to commercializing them in another region, or you yourself actually feel you have the commercialization capabilities. These are all interesting proposals that we would be happy to look into. So here, in terms of requirement, I think in general, but even more so in this particular call, since we're talking about really scaling up and financial sustainability, this is key, because in the same way as maybe in the first 2 or 3 activities, we're very much looking at production. Here, we're really looking at the financial sustainability side of things. So it's important we're looking for partners with experience in delivering on this type of financial sustainability, in commercializing courses, and in scaling these courses on different geographies and markets. So the revenue side of things is important, as it is in CHA3, and this will be, of course, looked into as explained in the call. And when it comes to the participants, we've tried to keep things simple and to a minimum here. Of course, if you feel that the courses or proposals and projects that you present can go beyond, this would play in your favor. But let's say the number of participants completing the course or completing one or various editions of a single course in 1 year should be above 10, which should be relatively doable, especially if you're building on existing courses rather than doing courses from zero. So next slide, please, Gab. These would really be the descriptions of the different activities. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have in a minute. But before I do so, maybe two more, let's say, general comments that also will impact increasingly everything we do here at the Academy Competence Hub. One general comment, which is that when you present the proposals and when you present the higher goals and objectives that the course or courses or projects that you want to present, when you present these objectives, make sure you make them smart. So I don't remember all, it's specific, measurable, achievable, the T is timely. I think it's, I'm never sure about the R, I always forget it. But this is actually methodology that I suppose most of you already know, otherwise check it up on the internet. But it's a way of formulating the objectives of your proposal, which will just allow you in general to get more points, because this is what the evaluators will be looking for, okay? And I will tell you more about the evaluation process, but in general, just try and make the proposal as clear and as close to the objectives that we're looking for, make them as clear and smart as possible. And finally, as some of you already know, in the same way as this is being done for the master degree and the doctoral training network programs, now EIT is enforcing a label framework for professional learning courses as well. This framework within, in the case of EIT Urban Mobility, is currently being developed, and we're pilot testing this new label framework with 2 pilot projects and courses. But this framework, once it's developed, will be implemented from 2024 onwards. And the reality is that EIT will be mainstreaming most, if not all of its funding towards EIT labeled courses. So this will start happening in 2024 and will be much more advanced and scaled up in 2025. But basically, what we're doing in 2023 is developing the framework. And within the call, you have a page explaining this and giving you the high-level description of what this framework will look like. In the case of EIT Urban Mobility, we're trying to make this framework as flexible and adaptable as possible, so that most, if not all, of the proposals and courses we've already been working on could comply with the framework. But then it will be important that the courses, when presented, should be presented in a certain way, so that we can formalize the learning experience of both the learners, but also the role of the knowledge experts, so that all of this is properly monitored. So it's more of a monitoring system than a change in the courses that we're trying to deliver. And what's important here, at least for 2023, is that you have a look at the information on the label framework that is provided in the call, and you commit and make sure within your proposal that you acknowledge this information, and that when the framework is successfully developed at the end of the year, you commit to implementing this framework within your proposals, as this is something we will need to do from 2024 onwards. So if you have, again, further questions on the framework, we can also review them. You have a handbook with the link, which is provided, that you will also have access to. But the key here is for you to understand what's happening at a higher level right now. And when the framework is operational, that you commit to adapting and adopting the framework to the requirements that of the courses, as this will be a non-negotiable thing to do from 2024 onwards. So sorry if this was a lot of information at once, but this, from, let's say, more of a content and let's say competence hub perspective, would be the main points that I wanted to share with you. And maybe before Anna talks about the process side of things and how things will work from a procedure point of view, if there are any questions, then I'm happy to take them. I don't know if anything happened on the chat, as Gad commented. If so, Gad, maybe you can just read them aloud. And if anyone wants to write further questions, then please use the chat.
For now, we only had one question from Kirilo, who asked that we upload that we share the link for the open call, but no questions. So I think we can move forward and leave the questions to the end when they come.
Okay, thank you. Anna?
Yes. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned earlier by my colleague Ged, I will go through the call calendar, the evaluation and selection process, and the proposal submission. We can go to the calendar slide. So the call was open last week on the 28th of June, and it will close on the 28th of July. Please make sure that you submit your proposal by 5 o'clock or well before 5 o'clock, as we always advise. Then the eligibility check will be performed at the beginning of August, and the quality evaluation and the selection committee meeting will be organized between August and September. And the communication, together with the conditions clearing, if any, will be sent out to the applicants by mid or end of September. And we are looking forward to onboarding the projects and beginning the project implementation, sorry, at the very latest at the beginning of October. Please keep in mind that this is an indicative calendar. Of course, we will try to stick to it as much as possible, but it also depends on how the eligibility check goes, if there will be a cure period needed or appeals or and so on. Going through the eligibility check, these are the criteria to be verified. If all the mandatory fields are filled in the application, the proposal is written, of course, in English and submitted through Plaza submission tool, and it will be submitted by the indicated deadline. The membership of the applicants, so all the applicants have to be EIT Urban Mobility community members at the moment of the closing of the call. And they have to be established and registered in an EU member state or third country associated to Horizon Europe, and they are fully registered in the EU participant portal, meaning that they have a PIC number, and in the Plaza submission tool, meaning that they have a fully filled in partner information form. As my colleague Gautam mentioned earlier, for the first cutoff date of this call, the minimum co-funding rate is 15%, and there are minimum requirements with regard to the KPIs for each specific activity that you are applying for. And in this sense, you can find detailed information in the section 3.4 of the call manual. In case there will be issues related to the co-funding rate, to the KPIs or the partner registration, please keep in mind that the applicants are given a 5-day cure period, but these 5 days refer to calendar days. So it may include also the weekend days. We can go forward. Some additional information. It was mentioned that the call is also open to mono beneficiaries, but you can also apply as a consortium. In case of consortia, they must be composed of at least 2 independent legal entities established in 2 different EU member states or third countries associated to Horizon Europe. And one thing to be kept in mind in case you apply as a mono beneficiary, that you have to bring in participants from different countries into the courses and expose them to educational content that includes examples and case studies from different European countries. The evaluation process, there will be one external assessor who will evaluate the strategic fit of the proposal, the excellence, the impact, and the implementation, and will give a maximum 100 points. The weight of the external evaluation will be 70%, and only the proposals which score 60 points out of 100, at least 60 points out of 100 will go to the selection committee. The selection committee members will analyze the business intelligence and the track record of involved entities, and in case there will be a similar score between 2 or more proposals, of course, the co-funding rate will be taken into consideration as well as the geographic or topic diversity of the proposal. The maximum number of points to be awarded by the selection committee is 20, and the weight of the selection committee evaluation is 30%. The conditions clearing phase, the project leader will receive the evaluation of the result of the end of the whole evaluation process. And in case the proposal is pre-selected, this communication may include a set of conditions and recommendations to be fulfilled by the applicants. If all the conditions are fulfilled, then the project can start as well as the contracting phase. I'm sure that all of you already have a PIC number and you are already registered in Plaza. If not, please go through these steps. It is important for those who have already completed the partner information form in Plaza to check once again if the information is updated, especially related to the PIC, to the legal representative, to the SPOC, bank details, and the financial manager, because this is the information that we are taking into consideration when communicating with the applicants. Now about the proposal submission. If you go to Plaza, you will see that the call is open in Plaza. You can press on Competence Hub 2023. And once you create your proposal, an ID will be assigned to your proposal and you'll have to fill in 7 tabs. The first tab, tab 0, please make sure that you select Academy under Area, select Competence Hub 2023 under Intended Execution Period, and 1.5 Competence Hub Call for Proposals for segment. And then you will give a title and acronym to your proposal and insert the duration. As mentioned earlier, the duration can be up to 9 months in order to achieve fast results, and but also you can have longer term projects up till the end of 2025. In order to proceed, so you can save the information that you have inserted here, but in order to be able to proceed to the next tab, you have to click Check and Save. The next tab, which is the contacts, here you'll have to include the project website, the lead partner organization, the project leader person to coordinate the project, also the email of that person. And in case of consortia, include all the partners, all the involved partners, and do not forget about the lead partner who also has to be repeatedly inserted here. And also you can assign co-editors to your proposal. In tab 2, activity overview, you'll have to fill in all, as you can see, all the fields are mandatory and you'll have to provide information as requested. You can find some additional information if you go onto the question mark icon, and you will see exactly what is requested from you. Also in tab 2, under the activity overview, you will have to include the KPIs relevant for your proposal. Please keep in mind that this is an eligibility criterion and the details are in section 3.4 of the call manual, and also the deliverables. There are some requirements mentioned in the call manual in section 351 regarding the required deliverables for each type of activity. In tab 3, specific questions. First, you will have to insert maximum 5 self-defined keywords and then select maximum 5 predefined keywords. And then moving forward, okay, you will have to provide information as per each question. There are 9 specific questions that you have to answer. Please keep in mind that all fields are mandatory. And then at the end of this section, you have the possibility to upload any supporting files that you may consider relevant for your proposal. Under the sustainability, you can choose one of the 2 possibilities, and further information is provided in sections 3.4 and 364 of the call manual. And maybe here Gautam can intervene a little bit with some details regarding the requirements for each type of activity.
Sure, thanks, Anna. I think I already covered this a bit in my presentation, but so CHA1 doesn't need any financial sustainability. It's made very clear in the call description. In the case of CHA2, the e-courses, as long as it's published within our platform, the proposals do not need a financial sustainability plan, insofar as we will handle this as the revenue model for e-courses is just the content is free, but we get some small revenue through the certification for those who want the certificate. So as long as it's in our platform, we would get the small revenue from the certificate, and you don't need to present any financial sustainability plan. If on the other side, the course is hosted in another platform, so either FutureLearn or another platform that you would prefer to have this course hosted on, this is possible, but then we would need to have at least an equivalent financial sustainability plan. Maybe not financial sustainability is a bit too much here, but some kind of revenue generated that would be equal or superior to the type of revenue that we generate through our platforms, which right now is something like 500 to 1,000 euros per course. So we're not talking about a massive revenue requirement, but we do request that if the courses are not hosted on our platform, they have some type of financial sustainability so that they generate some type of revenue to EIT Urban Mobility. So that would be for CHA2. Then for CHA3 and CHA4, I've already talked about this in the first part of the presentation. Their financial sustainability and viability beyond the funding received by EIT is something that's fundamental. So there we would look much more into detail about the business model, the commercialization strategy, about the revenue projections, about the cost projections. So in that sense, then a financial sustainability and revenue is much more important in CHA3 and CHA4. The overall logic is that if we cover the costs, then we get the revenue. So for these, all 3, CHA2, for the small part that's not on our platform, 3 and 4, we, through this call, are very happy to cover all the costs related to the development, delivery, and commercialization of these courses. And the counterpart would be that until these courses are fully viable, well, we would get 100% of the revenue generated by the course. So again, happy to take some questions if anything is unclear, but you will have all of this information detailed in the call manual. And I think that's basically it. Anna, do you want to continue?
Yes, just thank you very much, Gautam. Just one minor thing about the technicality. I'm not sure if Plaza lets you to go forward to the next tab if you don't insert anything under the financial sustainability mechanism. In this case, if this is not relevant and applicable for your proposal, please insert not applicable 0 or something in this section, and then you will be able to go forward to the next tab, which is budget. Under the budget, you'll have to insert task by task and put all the information related to the connected budget, partner involved, deliverables which are related to that specific task. I think we can go to the next slide. Here you have all the information that you have to insert for each task, and under the related budget, if there will be activities which will be implemented across the years, then you have the possibility to select and to distribute the budget according to the year. So if you can go to the next slide, you will see that here you have the possibility to insert the year related to the specific activity. Okay, and this table will be automatically filled in with the information that you have already inserted under the tasks. So if you have a project which will start in this year and will end next year, then you'll have 23 and 24 filled in with the allocated amounts. And last but not least, you'll have to provide a justification for each cost category that you have mentioned and inserted into your proposal. In the last tab, supporting files, you again have the possibility to upload any files that you consider relevant for your application. And then at the end, when you finish completing your application, you have the possibility to go through it, to edit it, to save a PDF application, or to submit, of course. And so these are some tips and tricks. I know that you are already familiar with them. You'll be able to fill in tabs 1 to 6 only if you press save and check in tab 0. Please do not forget to register your organization in Plaza or to check if the information there is updated. And before you submit the proposal, please check that all the call requirements, eligibility requirements, and otherwise they are all fulfilled. The proposal is complete, is readable, is fully in English, and all the consortium partners have obtained their user account in Plaza. And of course, again, do not wait until the last moment to submit your proposal. I think that was it from my side. Here you have the contact details for each type of question that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Thank you, Gautam, so much. So I think now is time to move over to the questions and answers part of the presentation. Let me just check the questions section real quick. So we have one question. What's the time period for the 500 to 1,000 euros per year in revenue for e-courses on other platforms? I.e., is that per year?
Okay. First of all, I just wanted to clarify something else before. When we talk about CHA 3 and 4, so the applied courses, we're talking about the revenue generated by the courses. It will so happen that we will get 100% of this revenue, as this would be the whole idea of the funding. We would fund all the cost and we would get the revenue. When it comes to e-courses, these numbers would be the revenue generated by the course, which is something else to the revenue that we would get. So it's important to differentiate both, because, for example, if we use platforms like Coursera and FutureLearn or even others, the platform actually takes part of the revenue. So it's important to show that even though we did not receive the revenue, this is revenue generated by the course, right? So in that sense, first of all, in the second activity, make sure that you differentiate the revenue generated by the course in global, so the amount that people paid in altogether to be trained, and then the actual revenue coming to EIT Urban Mobility as a result of the course. And as for the overall 500,000 euro, which was just an estimation, I just wanted to give you an order of magnitude, but that really depends on the figures that you present in the proposal that can vary from one course to another. I would say in general, the thinking behind this is that it's per year, or it would be more the year after the course has been developed. But I think technically it is actually till when the proposal ends. So, you know, if you do a proposal for 1 year, then this would be for the year. But if you're developing an e-course and if this is going to be updated, etc., it could be for a longer period of time. So it all depends on the length of the proposal that you want to present. There's another question here. Gad, you want to take it, and then
yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Is there a minimum and maximum size of consortium, and do all partners need to be an EIT Urban Mobility full member when we apply, or can they become a member in the clearing period? I think maybe
Yes.
Anna. Okay.
Yes. So the minimum requirement in terms of number of partners to be involved in a consortium is 2. So at least 2 legal entities. I mean, so we have mono beneficiaries. You can apply as a mono beneficiary or as a consortia. If you apply as a consortia, then the requirement is to have at least 2 entities. And yes, the partners have to be EIT Urban Mobility full members by the time the call closes. So this cannot be done during the conditions clearing.
And maybe just one thought. It really depends on the proposal. But let's say you have a partner with a small activity. It cannot be the case if it's a major partner. But if you have not a partner, if you have someone that you need to do a small activity, provided the budget is again not massive, the partner applicant could also subcontract this if this was a non-EIT Urban Mobility partner. So there are ways of working together without this being formally introduced in the proposal, but it should always be for minor amounts and for non-key activities. This can work, but then you need to be careful on this. And this can be maybe also questions sent on a case by case that Anna and myself or Gad could also look into to give you case by case answers.
Okay. If anyone else has any questions, you can share them in the Q&A, or you can raise your hand if you'd like. But so far I'm not seeing anything, so maybe we can take that as a good sign that everything is clear. I think that's it then. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before closing, Gautam or Anna? Oh, we have another question, sorry. Is there an encouraged budget range for mono beneficiaries? And what about consortia?
So as you can see in the call, I think in section 3, but after the details of each activity, there is actually a range of budget allocated by activity and the type of proposals that we're looking into. These are indicative budget. So it doesn't mean that there's a strict limit, but it's to give you an idea of the type of courses and proposals that we're looking into. And sorry, was there another part to that question?
And what about consortia? Would it be the same?
The same.
Yeah. And in this particular case, it's all about the proposal. What you need is to find the optimal number of applicants to do the optimal proposal. And this is also why in some cases we're very open to mono applicants. What's key is the proposal. So having more partners, it shouldn't influence the proposal. All the costs should be related to the proposal. And so having more than one partner should be done if there's an added value for that partner to be in the proposal. Otherwise, my recommendation would be to keep it simple because at the end, it could just be easier to deliver on impact, unless there's a strong need, and in which case it becomes a consortium-based proposal. Other questions? Sometimes it takes a bit of time to type, so maybe we can just wait for another few minutes.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'll take the opportunity to share something. So this is the EIT Urban Mobility website. If you want to get to the call, you can choose Get Involved, Call for Proposals, and you can see our open calls for proposals. This is the one we are talking about today, the Competence Hub Permanently Open Call. And here you can find the call manual, you can find more information, and you can find our contact emails. And we will be uploading this webinar here after it's done. So you can revisit this whenever needed. And these are the contact emails, one for PMO and one for the Academy team if you have more questions.
I don't see any other questions. Gad, what do you think? Unless there's any other questions, and do feel free to raise your hand or to type them in the chat. As Gad has shared with you, there are also an email address on the call link, so that if more questions come up, just you can ask them to us via this email. I would strongly recommend you go through the call in detail, because there's a lot of relevant information. You will also see some additional documents here. You can see the call manual, but you also have some additional documents that can help you prepare a successful proposal, or a proposal with higher chances of being selected. And as Anna already said, the deadline is in a month. So this will go relatively quickly. There will be a second cutoff date closer to end December, beginning October, depending on how the evaluation of this call happens. So there is going to be another opportunity, but our recommendation, especially when it comes to cost eligibility and just to have more time to deliver, would be for all of you to present your proposals to the sooner the better. And if you decide to go on the July cutoff, as Anna said, don't keep it to the last minute. You can always get some bad luck with the platform, or an issue when you push the send button. So just maybe make sure you do it at least a few hours, if not 1 or 2 days before, so that if anything happens, you have a bit of time to make the necessary modifications. On my side, unless there's any other question, I think I'm good. Anna, Gad, anything else to add?
No.
Nothing further, and no more questions. Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. And as I said, this will be uploaded on the call webpage. Thank you again for joining us, and please reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.